Scientific music pedagogy is a field of knowledge situated at the intersection of perspectives on the individual, music, and society. To understand the processes of musical learning and their impact on personal and cultural development, two primary archetypes are used: the teacher and the performer. These archetypes represent two essential roles that shape music education, each with unique characteristics, historical roots, and cultural impact. By dividing music pedagogy into these archetypes, we can better understand not only educational methods, but also the social and cultural consequences of different approaches to music learning. In scientific music pedagogy, the teacher and performer archetypes help structure approaches to teaching music, defining both content and methodology. The teacher archetype symbolizes structured, sequential learning that emphasizes conscious understanding of music and the development of musical thinking. This archetype supports an inclusive approach and strives to transmit knowledge. The performer archetype, meanwhile, places emphasis on performance practice, mastery, and stage expression. In scientific music pedagogy, these archetypes help unify theory and practice, creating a profound and holistic educational system. The word archetype comes from the ancient Greek rokai upsilon pamakronu, archetypon, composed of the roots archi rokai, beginning, foundation, and typos taup omicron, image, or form. In its literal sense, archetype means original image or fundamental form. Archetypes are universal images that exist in the collective unconscious and shape patterns of thinking and behavior. In scientific music pedagogy, archetypes help explain historically established roles that reflect different facets of music education. The teacher archetype originates in Pythagorean philosophy, which viewed music as linked to mathematical harmony and saw music education as a means of conveying a deep understanding of this connection. Later, Guido d'Arezzo, the creator of musical notation, expanded the role of the teacher by making music accessible and understandable to all. His work in developing musical literacy meant that tools such as the staff and keyboard could be used not only for performance, but also for teaching. Guido d'Arezzo's method laid the foundation for an inclusive approach to education, which scientific music pedagogy continues to support through the Soft Mozart program, where students begin learning with a conscious understanding of the musical system. A primary trait of the teacher archetype is an orientation toward the internal comprehension of music, its structure, and its harmony, making it universal and accessible to all. The performer archetype existed long before the creation of musical notation, embodied in the practice of professional music performance in society, where virtuosity and emotional expression were highly valued. After the development of notation, written music began to be used not only for teaching, but also for preparing for stage performances. This brought about a heightened emphasis on performance technique and precision, enhancing the value of public mastery. The performer archetype developed as a response to society's need for professional musicians who could captivate audiences. Unlike the inclusive teacher archetype, the performer became a symbol of high mastery and personal achievement, lending education a more competitive and exclusive character. The Jewish Professional Music School played an important role in developing the performer archetype. Historically, Jewish communities often faced social and economic isolation, which motivated individuals to seek self-realization and recognition through professional skill. Music became not only an art form, but also a means of achieving social status and economic independence. In Jewish culture, performance mastery became a distinctive feature crucial for self-expression and competitiveness. This school emphasized high technical proficiency, a strong connection to tradition, and a drive for recognition. Jewish musicians actively integrated into the cultures of the countries where they lived, bringing unique performance mastery qualities. Their influence can be seen in the creative development of musical culture across Europe and the world. Over time, the role of the performer began to dominate music education. This shift became especially noticeable with the invention of the piano, which was used not only as a teaching tool, but also as an instrument for public performance. Guido d'Arezzo originally envisioned the keyboard as a means for learning and comprehending the musical system. However, with the growing popularity of performance, the focus shifted toward prodigies, such as young Mozart. Early recognition of young performers increased attention to public mastery, while the importance of internal understanding and the teacher's role gradually faded into the background. As music spread through Europe and the world, musical dynasties emerged in which performance became an elite pursuit passed down through generations. Under such conditions, music education came to be viewed as an exclusive art for the chosen few, which led to the dominance of the performer archetype. Schools became oriented toward achieving peak performance mastery, shaping a culture focused on public success and competition. In pre-revolutionary Russia, there was a unique example of an inclusive approach to music education where musical literacy became accessible to all. Education was built around the idea that anyone, regardless of background, could master the musical system if given proper guidance. This approach allowed the teacher archetype to develop, instilling musical literacy in the general populace and making music accessible to everyone. After the revolution in Russia, the role of the performer archetype once again took precedence, which led to a division of society into those who performed and those who only listened. Professional performance became a marker of mastery and a symbol of social importance, while the majority of society remained in the role of passive listeners. This division reinforced the notion of performance as a privilege for the elite. The imbalance between the teacher and performer archetypes led to several negative consequences. For individuals, it meant a division between those with musical literacy and those deprived of meaningful access to music, creating a social hierarchy. For music, it resulted in simplification. The general public pays for simpler, more accessible music, as deep musical knowledge is no longer available to most. For society, this imbalance weakens empathy, harmony, and a sense of responsibility, as everyone strives for recognition and success as a performer, rather than for personal growth and cultural contribution. To restore balance between the teacher and performer archetypes, it is essential to rethink the role of each in music education. Modern scientific music pedagogy can focus on integrating an inclusive approach that reinstates the value of deep understanding of music, its structure, and harmony. Integrating both archetypes will allow for a system in which each student can develop fully, both as a performer and as a conscious participant in musical culture.
Hello guys, today my cousin can start gentle piano. On get ski we learned notes. Do means here. Re means here. Mi is...
This approach offers a deeper understanding of how scientific music pedagogy, through these archetypes, influences the formation of the individual, the nature of music itself, and cultural and social structures. The teacher archetype, regarding the individual, represents the conscious comprehension of music, grounded in an understanding of its structure and the logic of its language. The teacher is oriented toward developing the student's inner world, expanding their musical thinking, and enhancing their hearing and coordination. A person shaped within this archetype sees music as a path to personal growth and intellectual development, not merely as a means of public success.
Bach, Polonaise, and G minor.
This archetype teaches one to engage with art thoughtfully, viewing it as a source of knowledge and experience that goes beyond simple performance practice. The performer archetype shapes different personality traits. It emphasizes confidence, performance skills, and the ability to express emotions and thoughts through music for an audience. This archetype focuses on helping individuals develop the stage qualities needed for public performance, such as resilience, artistry, and virtuosity. As a result, the performer archetype shapes a person for whom music is a means of self-expression and a demonstration of mastery, fostering confidence and stage presence. The teacher archetype emphasizes studying music as a structured system with internal rules and harmony. This approach encourages the student to consciously understand musical form, rhythm, harmony, and melody. Teacher-oriented practice reveals music as a language that requires study and understanding, fostering analytical skills and interpretative abilities. This archetype aims to preserve and transmit musical traditions and knowledge, ensuring cultural continuity and a profound perception of music. The performer archetype approaches music differently. Here, music is seen as an art of public expression. The performer strives to embody a musical work with maximum precision and expressiveness, bringing it to life for the audience. This approach makes music less of a theoretical abstraction and more of an emotional and aesthetic phenomenon. In this archetype, music becomes what the audience sees and feels, coming to life through interpretation that connects the performer's emotional experience with the listeners. The teacher archetype in relation to society represents inclusive and accessible music education. This archetype relates to imparting knowledge and values to all who are willing to learn, regardless of social status or natural ability. This approach creates a society where musical literacy is available to all, not only a select few. This inclusive approach supports the formation of cultural heritage by ensuring continuity of knowledge and supporting music education as a foundation for personal and social development. In a society where the teacher role dominates, people possess a greater musical literacy and can engage with art more deeply. The performer archetype has a different social effect. It is oriented toward creating professional performance and musical elites, where select individuals hold exclusive status due to their stage talents. This archetype fosters the formation of musical stars who gain public recognition and become role models. This approach helps develop a culture of spectacle, competition, and admiration of individual talent. However, when the performer archetype dominates, society divides into those who perform and those who perceive music only as spectators, without a deep understanding of its structure and nature. The teacher-performer concept across the dimensions of individual, music, and society demonstrates that these archetypes complement each other, creating a more complete and comprehensive music education. For individuals, it is essential to develop both an internal understanding of music and the skills for expression to become well-rounded personalities. For music itself, a balance between understanding its structure and mastery in performance helps maintain its depth and emotional impact. For society, harmony between an inclusive approach and the support of performance culture creates conditions for everyone to grow as musically literate participants in culture, not just as spectators. Thus, balance between these archetypes is necessary for the harmonious development not only of music education, but of the entire cultural system, providing society, music, and each individual with access to a deeper, more conscious, and emotionally enriching world of art.